Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here with another Dark Overlord video. And yes, I finally got some time, went through some of these latest data dumps, and lo and behold, the James Woods secret testimony is available in these documents. Now, when I say secret testimony, I want people to understand that this is not his initial FAA report pre 9/11, but this is his testimony in regards to the lawsuits. Now, this all came out, and that this was going to be possibly in there when in layer 1 and 2 we got a taste that James Woods was in the document, especially in layer 2. Here you saw the lawyers talking about articles that said James Woods would not talk about the Middle Eastern men he told the FBI he encountered a few months back. He will say this. We find out it's not really that long. It's an August 1st incident. And then they refer also to his O'Reilly appearance. We got all this documentation down here. And there you see the Bill O'Reilly stuff, right? Well, if you go over to my film Fabled Enemies, I just want to play a clip here so you can get an idea of what we're about to talk about. This is what he was talking about post 9/11, but not giving a lot of details.
I was on a flight, without going into the details of what made me suspicious of these four men, although it would have been blatantly obvious to the most casual observer. I took it upon myself to go to the flight attendant and ask to speak to the pilot of the plane. The first officer came out. I reported to him that I felt that the four men, and I said, can you look over my shoulder and see who I'm talking about? And he said, yeah. I said, I think they're going to hijack this plane. I mean, everything they're doing, and I explained to him these details, which I've been asked to keep private until whatever jurisdiction, whatever trials may take place. Their behavior was such that that I felt they were going to hijack the plane. I found out later that not only did he make a report, but the flight attendant also made a report of my suspicions to the FAA. My friend Scott said to me, remember that flight you took in August? I said, yeah, I've been thinking about it all day. He said, well, maybe you should call the FBI. And I said, I'm sure they're being inundated, but I thought it over and I called the local office. 6:45 the next morning, I got a phone call that actually wakes me up. And he said, we want to talk to you about the flight that you took in August. I said, oh, did the manifest match of any of the flights yesterday and my flight? He said, well, we can't tell you that. I said, well, look, I'll get ready and I'll come down to the federal building. He said, we're outside your house. We'll just wait for you.
So we're just going to stop it there, and we're going to get to what everybody wants to see, what everybody came here for, the James Woods testimony, okay? So here it is, guys. Now, it was videotaped. I'm going to show you the search feature. Seems to be a little buggy right now, but I'm going to show you everything that I think is pretty relevant in this. Now, he talks about how these guys are all in jumpsuits. Okay, they're all basically, there's no luggage, so we'll start there. See if we can find that. Oh, come on, not a carry-on. Let's see if luggage comes up. No, of course not. What about carry? Is this not going to work? Is James not going to work? Oh, that one worked. All right. So, let's see. This is all the way down. See? It found James Woods all the way there. So, let's try again. Carry. There we go. Carry on luggage. Perfect. So, this is why they looked suspicious. And I looked at them, and I just thought, oh, great. And I just felt there was something odd, and I couldn't put my finger on it. So, I started to observe them. And the first thing I thought was they have no carry-on luggage, nothing, not a bag from the thing, from the place where they sell gum and so on. No books, no carry-on, no computer. Four men, all the same age, all dressed alike, in mind, Middle European, Middle Eastern origin, and I just paid attention. All right, so some of the other bombshells in here. And by the way, I know a lot of people might be mad at the Family Guy thumbnail. They brought Family Guy up several times in this, and I'm going to show you why. It's really bizarre, but they actually brought up a clip pre-9/11 in a May 30th, 2000 episode of Family Guy called Road to Rhode Island, where Stewie sneaks weapons on a plane by distracting TSA agents. And remember, that's a big thing with these lawyers. They're saying they're alluding to the fact that they got other weapons on the planes, not just box cutters, and they may have had help from the inside. From all accounts of everything I've read, that's what they're stating. And of course, they should have known because bin Laden was a known terrorist and he was going to hijack planes. And after Stewie gets these weapons through, he actually says, "Oh, I hope Osama bin Laden doesn't use this airport." Now, a lot of people will talk about pre-programming, preconditioning. That's absolutely possible. But it's something they talk about in this, and we'll get to it. But he also discusses how these guys completely ignored the stewardess. Okay? Like, would not look at her, would not talk to her. And he said it wasn't really in a rude way, but let's see if we can get ignore come up next. Yes, here it is. We'll read this. Although it could not have been, I'm not sure. And they were on the same side as I. And by the way, this is very meticulous. He takes note, by the way, not only that they ignored her, but that they only became interested, and he said they were all in first class with him, by the way, behind him, when the door to the cockpit opened. And that's where they kind of communicated with each other. And it was after that incident where he actually takes one of the knives, and they were metal knives then from the meal, and put it in the back. That's how nervous he was. Okay, but we're going to talk about how these guys completely ignored her. And that was when they basically just asked him to take their seats. And that's what initially got him to look at them. And I specifically mentioned that because of their reaction. It's something I noticed. Asked them if they would take their seats, and they completely ignore her. And she asked them, like, "Gentlemen, would you please sit down?" And they ignored her. And I thought, and I made a judgment in my mind, not a fact, but I made a judgment in my mind, and I thought, oh well, so far your impression seems to be along the same lines. So let's jump down. This is when she asked them about the meal. Okay? So again, they completely ignore her. He doesn't think it's a rudeness thing, maybe a cultural thing, but again, they really seem interested in what the cockpit. So let's scroll all the way back up here, get to that section. All right, let's read this. My impression at the time that I observed them, and I had turned around to do it, turn a little to my left and behind to do it, they were very quiet. Okay? I thought quite intense, and the only time they indicated anything different was when the cabin personnel came out of the cockpit door to go to the men's room. And they start to get very meticulous on that as well, to go to the lavatory. Okay, when the cabin personnel came out of the cockpit, was it a man or a woman? I mean, they go, again, everything is to meticulous detail. Let's see if it's knife. Yes. So, again, Woods is so upset, so suspicious of these guys. He says this, I had a very uncomfortable feeling, and at the time they used metal utensils, and I kept the knife from my food service and wiped it off and put it in the seat back in front of me. Okay, with reference to your feeling uncomfortable, how would you describe that particular flight? And remember, this is actually Flight 11. He can't be 100% certain of it, but he says he's almost certain it was the Boston Logan to LA Flight 11. Now, he flew all the time. That's part of the deposition. I feel like I got to go over that as well just really quickly. So, now, after this is when he approaches the woman. Okay? Let's see, is 40s, I believe? Yes. Maybe around 40. So here it is. I said, do you know who I am? She said, yes. I said, I hope you will, in the context of what I'm about to say, think that I'm a responsible individual and not some lunatic. And she said, okay. I said, I know you're not supposed to use words like this in flights on an American in the United States on aircraft. I know it can be construed to be some kind of crime, but I have this feeling that it's possible this plane could be hijacked. And I thought she was going to think I was, a little concerned about her response. And she said, odd, I was thinking the same thing. And I said, oh, well, maybe we should talk to someone about this. She said, I think so too. She said, I'm glad you brought this up because I was having discomfort. And I said, we're talking about the gentleman sitting behind me on the two sides. And she said, yes. So and then he gets interrupted, talks about, woman in her 40s, not too young, not too old. And she tells him he's coming out. So this is when he has the conversation. He says, so who are these people? And he gestured. And I said to him, and he looked. And just tell me. I said, well, I can't explain it, but, and the way I described it to him then, I said, it's kind of like this. I made reference to a movie. So he talked about Scarface to him, and a scene in Scarface where these assassins are in there and everybody's cheering and, all involved, but these guys are not paying attention at all. So he then tells him he's going to file a report. Let's bring the report up, right? Yes, right there. And he said, no, you know what? We're just going to keep the cockpit door locked and we'll just make a little report. And I said, okay. And that was that. Okay? So all of this now, testimony in a lawsuit, all of it ignored. All of it ignored by the 9/11 Commission prior to 9/11. And remember, this is an FAA report. We know the FBI report also followed up. Now, he says he didn't know anything about an FBI report, but I want to talk about Seymour Hersh, because he does. So Seymour Hersh actually confirms to him, and supposedly another FBI agent, Ron Iliff, is mentioned in this with an EI, but I couldn't find anything on him. I'm not sure if that's even his real name. I'm not sure they spelled it correctly. But he says that this upper echelon FBI guy acknowledged that those reports were real from the FAA, and Hersh says they were real. Let's see if we can find Hersh. Man. Let's see if we can find Seymour. There he is. So, here he brings up the fact that Seymour Hersh, who did a piece on this and some of the surrounding information, okay, for the New Yorker, confirmed this to him, okay? A reporter named Seymour Hersh told me after an article he wrote in the New Yorker uncovering this incident and other aspects of, I think, 9/11, I don't remember. I read the article once, I don't remember it well. But in the conversation that I had with him by the phone, I'm not sure if it was after the article came out or it was about to come out, he told me that so the stewardess more than likely and the pilot, 2 reports had been filed with the FAA. He said the FAA, and he said one by the flight attendant and by the first officer of the flight I was on. So again, pre-9/11, and this is what's also crazy, he names 2 hijackers that did not hijack Flight 11. Now, he thinks 4 of them were there. He says 2 he can name definitely. And the other 2, I know, was it Muhammad Atta and somebody else? Remember, Muhammad Atta is involved in Flight 9/11, on Flight 11. Who are the other hijackers he names in this? Well, I'm glad you asked, because he names Hamza Al-Ghamdi, who was involved in, I believe, 175, okay? And Khalid Al-Mihdhar, Flight 77. And these associations aren't really supposed to be taking place. This is begging so many questions. Now, that clip from Family Guy, and that's brought up in here. Okay, you see this right here behind me? I want to bring the transcript back up. Let's see if we got Bin Laden over here. Here we go. So there's some trouble in there, and they start talking about this Road to Rhode Island clip and on the good ship Lollipop. And let's hope Osama bin Laden doesn't know show tunes, because they actually talk about Seth MacFarlane here, and you find out how James Woods got the gig on Family Guy in this deposition. Really bizarre stuff, but I promise you it's there. Anybody can check this out. Anybody who wants to download it anyway. But post 9/11, after this, they took this out of the episode. Go try to find this anywhere. I don't think it was ever put on the DVD or Blu-ray sets. I don't want a copyright strike, so I may talk a little bit through it. But here we go.
This shop where bonbons play.
And you saw right there that he's sneaking weapons through, talking about bombs.
On the sunny beach of Peppermint Bay.
And there it goes through.
Let's hope Osama bin Laden doesn't know show tunes.
Oh. Pre 9/11, that's how known it was that, quote unquote, bin Laden and his network wanted to hijack planes. And that's another part of this lawsuit. And another thing that they really harp on in these documents. Folks, if you like my work, please go check out Fabled Enemies. It's free on the channel. Hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Make sure that you ring that notification bell or you won't get when I'm doing these live streams, when I'm going over things with the audience. And I will be doing a video later today, I'm not sure when I'm going to jump on it, on the Dark Overlord and the ISI connections, the Inner Service Intelligence Agencies out of Pakistan, their relationship to 9/11, their financial relationship to Atta, and even the cover-up by Joe Biden. So look for that one and check out my other work over on We Are Change and the Pulse Change channel. Thank you guys so much